Welcome to Road Lines with the Broad, Babe, Writing Out a Dream. This show is sponsored by RidersClaw.com, NailMail.com, and CoolRiderGear.com. Now let's get this show revved up. Take it away, Ursula.
Thank you so much, Brother Todd. Peace, hugs, and pipes that rumble, people.
Well, hello, folks. I'm very pleased to have with me today another female amputee motorcyclist. I want to welcome today Miss Vickie Bishop. Vickie, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I hope you are.
Yeah, doing pretty good. It's a little cold and snowy here, but doing good. Got the fireplace going and just relaxing today. So now, Vickie, I know when I solicited over to you to try to share your story, you kind of got a gist about what this little project is I got myself into, kind of helping the world sort of see what it is we go through. You know, we can be amputated for a million different reasons, you know, but the stories are all very similar, but then they're all very unique. If you would, Vickie, tell us, what state are you from?
North Carolina.
Oh, me too, yeah, cool. I forgot that. I think I knew that already. Yeah. Well, I'm not from here, but I'm living here. So.
Oh, okay.
And then, now tell us, Vickie, what year and the degree of amputation do you have?
It was 2013, and I'm a left above knee.
Left above knee. Okay, so you're a little bit higher than me, same side. Okay. And now, if you would, whatever you're comfortable with, would you share with us how you became a left leg amputee?
Sure. I was on my way to work about 7:30 or so in the morning, less than 5 miles from my home. I was going through a curve that I'd been through a gazillion times. I was on my bike, and I'm not quite sure what happened. I lost control of the front end of the bike and crossed the center line and hit a semi head-on, and I was amputated on the scene.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that kind of gave me chills there. Did you say that you lost the leg on the scene?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You did? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that kind of freaks me out a little bit. I didn't lose mine right on the scene. I kind of knew that if I lived, it was unlikely it was going to stay because I could see the massive damage and there wasn't much left. But another guy told me, you know, he felt his leg being ground off because he was stuck under the bike and like sliding, you know, and his leg was being ground off. So it's kind of freaky to me because I don't have that experience. That's how our stories are unique. Tell us now, did you first of all, did you stay conscious throughout this? I mean, did you see your leg leave you? I mean, how did that visually go down for you?
No, I didn't. I was crossing the center line, and, you know, the last thing I remember is thinking this is really going to hurt. And evidently I put my left arm and my left leg up to push myself off of the semi and kind of threw myself to the right, and then, of course, hit the pavement. So I don't remember anything. I was told that I was aware and talking the entire time. The only thing I remember is being in the ambulance at one point, and I heard them talking about my leg. I didn't know at that point that it was taken off at the scene, and I remember yelling and screaming at them not to cut my leg off, but it was already gone. And that's pretty much the last thing I remember for probably about a week.
Oh, my goodness. Well, you know, I have to tell you, and I've heard stories on both sides. I remember every detail, and I wish I didn't. And then I hear people such as yourself that says they don't remember. Be glad you don't remember.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't even imagine what...
Yeah, that post-traumatic flashbacks and stuff like that stinks big time, and that's a lot of cobwebs to get out of the brain. Of course, that's my feeling and my opinion and my experience, but of course everybody is different. I have heard that time and again, so I'm not the only one, but be glad you don't remember, girlfriend.
Oh, no, I can't even imagine laying there with all the stuff that happened and knowing it was going on. Can't even imagine it.
Yeah, I mean, this story is not about me, it's about you, but I will share because you and I have only recently become Facebook acquaintances, so you probably don't know this, but being awake that whole time, and when you hear the EMT back behind you screaming, we're losing her, where the hell is that helicopter? And when you hear them say, her pressure's too low, you know you're going to die. That sucks, know?
Yep.
So, yeah. But we're both here, and we're both trying to help people understand that life goes on. So with that being said, how long was it? And if you want to explain some of your recovery and surgery and blah, 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 you can. But I want to next find out, how long was it after you lost your leg and crashed that you started riding again? And how did that recovery process and getting back to your passion, how did that go for you?
I started riding, I got out of the hospital, the end of May, and my boyfriend at the time, we had planned on doing the Myrtle Beach rally. It would be my first rally on my bike, where I was not riding as a passenger, and we had planned to do that, but of course, the accident happened, so as soon as I was out of the hospital, he took me in my wheelchair to the rally, and that was quite an accomplishment because I'd just gotten out of the hospital, and people were just amazing, especially when they heard my story and stuff. So we had a very nice time, and I guess it was, I don't know, maybe towards the middle of June, I just looked at him and said, we need to go buy a helmet. I'm getting back on the bike. And he was, of course, quite apprehensive, but he took me to buy a helmet, and I started riding as a passenger with him probably the middle of June. For me, it was getting past the fear and just I felt free, and I knew my life would never be back to the way it was, but at least that was some part of normalcy for me, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
So, I rode with him for several months, and I talked with my prosthetic guy, and we tried, he suggested the 3 wheels to start with, especially being above the knee. So I tried a Can-Am and did not care for it at all, and I'm not sure if I got back on something by myself too early, but it did frighten me a little bit, and I just, of course, did it in the parking lot. So, I started second-guessing myself a little bit, and then my boyfriend suggested, that in Myrtle Beach you can rent the little automatic 3-wheel scooters and ride up and down the road, because there again, I wasn't sure. It didn't bother me at all to be in traffic or having stuff coming at me when I was on the bike with him, but I wasn't sure how I would react, especially out on the highway by myself with a semi coming at me again. So
sure.
I went down there, and we rented the little 3-wheeler. It took a little adjusting to the 3 wheels, but I rode it for about 20 minutes up and down the highway, and I thought, I got this. So we started looking for a trike.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I
have. Go ahead.
Oh, I said I bought my trike in October, and been on it ever since.
This past October or the October? Okay, so a year and change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Now, I have heard and I have witnessed above-knee amputees, and it is much more difficult when you don't have that natural joint. And I've learned this, being in my prosthetic offices and with the things that I do online and listening to other people's stories, what have you. So without that knee, like me, I still have 45% use of my knee. So
Right.
I can stomp down with my heel. I'm a heel toe shifter. I can't necessarily pull up like we normally used to with our toe. That does not function well for me. But I can still have enough flexion to hit down on the heel toe shifter. So the prosthetic that you have, being that you're missing your knee, it has a kind of a knee joint, right? I mean, how does that move in comparison to what would be a natural joint?
There's no comparison. I can't. Once it gets to a certain point bending, it just collapses. So I can't squat or stoop or anything like that, and I have to be careful walking. If it's I have a microprocessor knee, so it does have a stumble safety thing on it, but I've fallen plenty of times dragging my toe and stuff. But yeah, once you get to a certain point, you're going down. So
Gotcha.
there's no way I could shift that I know of. I've heard some people, say that they've done it, and my hat's off to them. I can't figure out how to do it. I have a very good welder friend and another very good mechanic friend, and they moved my shifter. I have a toe shifter right beside my brake on my right side. That's how I shift now.
So you are still shifting with a foot then? You're not using any hydraulics or anything like that with the hands?
No, I started out with a shifter like that, and I just had nothing but trouble with it. It just did not. It would quit working, and from the time I purchased it till the time I said, I've got to do something else here. And, the manufacturer was very helpful. They suggested, and I sent, it was just, I don't know what the deal was, but I just could not make it work. So we all kind of put our heads together, and, I said, I'm going to do this with my right foot. And, it's not been that difficult. You just have to think about it, every once in a while.
Yeah. I think that would freak me out. Oh, crap, do I hit the brake or the shifter? That's a heck of a learning there.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. And still, if I get into a little bit of a panicky situation, I'll still search every once in a while. But, being on the coast of North Carolina, we're still riding. So I ride just about every day, even if I just go for a short ride. So, that helps me keep in practice.
Yeah, and here I am in the mountains of western North Carolina with snow and freezing temperatures. I should be over by your house.
That's right.
Now, if I could just get off the mountain to get over there, that'd be fine.
I know. So y'all are getting snow?
Yeah, overnight we did get snow. It's off the roads, but I got no particular reason to go out today. It's actually sticking all day today. Usually, they call this the land of the noonday sun. Usually it's gone by the afternoon, but these are pretty cold temperatures, the coldest it's been since I've lived here thus far. So it's sticking with us, but, it's no big deal. The puppies and I are enjoying the fire and working and doing these interviews, so it's not really affecting me. It's not that big of a deal. So now, you said that you've got these great welders and great mechanics. Who do you owe the gratitude for modifying your bike?
Well, my welder friend, his name is Lewis Murray, and my boyfriend, who is the amazing mechanic, his name is James Marcelon.
That's awesome. And now these boys, they're not out of a shop. They're just smart biker dudes that help you do this?
That's it.
That's awesome. It's always good to have big brothers and people that care and want to help you. And I think it's pretty cool that even though your dude was maybe a little apprehensive at first, I think it's pretty cool that he supported you and helped you get back to that passion that was in you. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, he did. He, once we rode around the parking lot for a few minutes, and he said, "Okay, I can do this." So I said, "Let's go."
Well,
we haven't looked back.
Was he your boyfriend when the crash occurred, or did he become that after?
Well, he and I had just been dating. I guess we had been dating for about 3 weeks, And
Oh, wow.
yeah, I had my accident, and he was there and very supportive. There was some kind of altercation between him and my daughter in the hospital. I think it was kind of a territorial thing. You know, she was going to take care of me, and he was going to take care of me. So, and of course, I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, right.
So,
yeah, I get that.
He, you know, evidently my daughter and my family just kind of banned him from coming to the hospital. So I didn't see him for a while, you know. And then, of course, as you well know, after you come home, I mean, I was just, like, lost. So, you know, I finally ended up going to a therapist, and, you know, she and I discussed it and felt like it would be better for me to kind of find my way and you know, kind of spend some time learning to live with myself. So I did that for a little while, and then he and I started seeing each other again, and I don't know what I would have done without him because, you know, I'm sure you know, I was so uncomfortable in my skin, and, of course, when you go home, I live by myself. My daughter's grown, and so I'm sitting there, you know, I had great friends that were taking me to doctor's appointments and stuff, but I just didn't want to be in my house. I didn't want to be in my skin. I didn't, you know.
Yeah.
So he lives in Myrtle Beach, so I would go down and spend, like, you know, just days and days at a time with him. And, you know, he would take care of me and keep me entertained, and that's kind of how I got through it. And we've had some rough patches, but, you know, I don't know what I would have done without him. I mean, I truly don't. So.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. And yes, I certainly do understand some of the turmoil that can come about from a tragedy like that. You know, your daughter obviously has been with you since all of her days on earth, so she probably felt that obligation, that love, that ownership. I'm going to take care of my mom. I get that. My dad was the one that basically took over as far as I'm concerned, you know, when I was in the hospital. And, of course, there's, you know, turmoil goes on when you're living in somebody else's house and with other people and what have you. So I totally do get that. And then I also get, you know, what you said about not being comfortable in your own skin. You know, you look at your body and you say, oh, my gosh, you know, I'm deformed, I'm different, you know, who's going to want me or what is my life going to be like now? And these things go through your head, you know, for a while until you figure out, hey, you know, I'm still the same person. I'm just missing a part, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So
well, I mean,
I get that. I totally get that. And that's...
You have the physical scars, you know, like I have. And I think that was one reason I was having trouble, you know, because I wanted to give him the opportunity to walk away because I'd heard, you know, unfortunately quite a few horror stories about spouses and boyfriends and stuff just couldn't deal with it, and they walked. And, you know, I wanted to give him the opportunity. And like you said, you know, I'm thinking, why would anybody want this, you know?
Yep. Yep, I hear you.
I think as a woman, it's worse for us, you know, as far as body image thing.
Exactly. Absolutely. I agree with you on that. And I'm glad that you were able to get help and get through that. And I'm glad that he was, you know, still there with you and still there today. I think that says a lot for that man. Hold on to him because clearly he's a keeper. I really think that people empathize. Sympathize maybe is the better word. They sympathize with some of the things that you go through after such a tragedy, but unless you live it and go through it, you don't fully get, you know, what happens internally, be it mind, body, spirit, soul. People don't, you know, the people that love you say, oh, you're still so beautiful, oh, you're still the same person, but they don't see it from your perspective, you know.
No.
And it's hard to get your friends to just shut up. Don't tell me I'm beautiful. Don't tell me I'm still the same person. You know, don't say that, you know. Say you love me. That's cool. You know, But it's hard when you hear these little adages or these little phrases or whatever. And I've tried to tell people, don't give me the cliches. I don't want the cliches. Life will be normal again. No, it won't. My normal is totally different now, as is yours and all the other folks that we're interviewing. Yes, we can function. Yes, we can do things that we want to do. Now, as far as talking about things that we want to do, clearly you and I both are back to riding motorcycles, and we still have a few cobwebs up there in certain situations that kind of flash us back to what took us out to begin with. With those cobwebs, now you've been riding a year and change, probably a year and a half or so, which is a little bit longer than I have at this point. What are some of the things that you tell yourself, or what are some of the soul builders that you use to get yourself through that ride or to get past that semi? And I don't know, I hate to say it this way, but you're not 100% sure what happened with the front end and why you lost control. I had nothing to do with what happened to me, so we have a little bit of uniqueness there also. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, as far as your ability to ride or questioning your ability to ride, how did you get yourself through that and become stronger to not fear what you love to do?
I don't know. I mean, it's just been bizarre from the beginning. I just have had no fear. I mean, maybe it's because I don't know what happened, and I feel a lot more confident, on the trike. I don't know that I could get back on two wheels. I mean, physically I don't know if I could, and mentally I don't know if I could. But with the trike, I mean, trust me, I respect it. Don't get me wrong there, but, I don't have to worry about, am I going to be able to get my foot down, am I going to fall over when I come to a stop sign because I can't get my foot down? And, of course I can't shift, but if I was trying to concentrate on, trying to shift with my right side and then trying to get my left foot down, I just don't think I could do that. But it's just been bizarre. It's because that's what a lot of people ask me, doesn't it just scare you to get back down the road? And I guess I just don't think about it, because I figure, when it's your time, evidently it wasn't yours or mine time to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to happen. There's really nothing we could do about it. So
That's right.
I feel so alive, and like I said, I guess normal's not a good word, but I feel more like I used to feel. When we're riding and you got your pants and stuff on, nobody can say, oh, you poor thing, 'cause I hate that. I understand people feel sympathetic, but don't pity me. There's no reason to pity me,
Into that, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And I had some questions in my own head regarding whether or not I would ride again in the early months. And I think a lot of that had to do with the massive amount of drugs I was on. I mean, my brain wasn't my own brain to begin with.
No.
And I found it hard to be mad at the kid that hit me, because I know I've screwed up before on four wheels or two wheels or whatever. It was just my time to be part of somebody else's screw up. Unfortunately, it happens that way. But I still have some concerns, kind of like what you were saying, can I get my foot down in time? Am I able to shift properly, this, that, and the other thing? The mechanics of operating that motorcycle and still being aware of the surroundings. The first month or two that I was back on the bike on two wheels, on a regular basis. I mean, I had gotten back on two wheels from a friend, went a mile down and a mile back to see if I could do it. And then it was a couple of months break from that before I did it again. And I still had some of those funky things, and I felt as if I was actually functioning more wrongly than before. I felt as if I was being so very overly cautious that I was being unsafe, and I had to talk myself into believing that not every car out there was going to hit me.
Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm still a little goofy going around a blind curve, still a little goofy when a semi is coming, because what happened to me was a young man tried to pass a semi in a deep curve. And, had that semi not been there, he would have had visual. But he tried to pass this semi, and he could not see me on my tiny little motorcycle and hit me head on.
Yeah.
So, that semi didn't do anything to me, but still, when you've got a huge object like that that's blocking somebody's view, mine and his, those things kind of make you think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, if someone, is coming through a curve and they cross the center line, oh, yeah, it scares me, but I think it would scare anybody, even if you haven't had an accident,
Yeah.
There's just a lot of stupid, careless people out there.
But, and they're in too much hurry sometimes, yeah. And, here, being where I live in western North Carolina, up in the mountains, I mean, there is not a piece of straight road within 21 miles of my house. You have to go 21 miles down to 19129 to find a piece of straight road. And, the folks around here that have lived in these mountains forever, I mean, they zip through here like crazy style. And here I am, be it truck or motorcycle. I'm going into these curves, and I'm like really craning my neck to look around. Okay, anybody coming?
Oh, yeah.
So, but I think I'm getting far better at releasing some of the fear, but still having that cautious look about my environment. So I'm getting better every time I go out. I wish I was out there with you right now today. So now the next thing I wanted to kind of talk about a little bit, and of course this is, we touched on this a little bit, but you have a different type of leg than I do. Clearly your leg is probably more advanced because you need that knee. And you said you have a microprocessor knee. One thing I am trying to help people understand, and this kind of goes back to where people tell you, oh, you can do anything you want to do. The technology is out there. Technology is out there, but we've still got to pay for our portion of that, and so oftentimes we have to choose, okay, do I want the, Ford Escort? Do I want the Lincoln Continental, or do I want the Lamborghini? Which one can I afford? That being said, what is your take on the legs that we have to get for the rest of our lives and the financial impact that has on our lives?
Oh, I mean, I understand we're a small community, and I understand everybody's got to make a profit. I don't begrudge that to anybody, but I mean, it can be financially devastating.
Yeah.
We're going to have to pay for this the rest of our lives. And sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I see the technology out there, and it's very frustrating for me, especially being above the knee, because there are just things I cannot do because I have no knee. And I see technology out there where I could be doing more than what I can do now, but it's beyond reach financially.
Yep. Amen. That's exactly what I try to explain to people. I just Thursday got my latest leg, and I went ahead and bit the bullet and got the rush foot. And the rush foot, and I don't know if above knee, if y'all get the same types of feet and stuff. I don't know if all that equipment is interchangeable. I'm not sure, but this particular foot is not made of the solid, hard carbon fiber. It's made out of a more flexible material. It's in the family of like the glass type of material, but it has some flexion to it. And I have a small bit of feeling as if I kind of sort of have toes. My foot kind of bends a little bit. I mean, not extremely, and I certainly don't have an ankle, but I have a better I don't know if you want to call it like a shock absorber, what have you, than I did on the old foot. But it was something that I really, really had to ponder. Do I get my guy to order this foot, which is going to cost me my 20% of insurance? That foot alone cost me almost the same amount as my portion of my leg. So I could have just gotten a new socket and used my old foot and my old pylon, and I could have just paid $1,200 my portion, and I could have continued to function like I did before, but I wanted a little bit better functionality. So I'm at $2,600 to get a cooler foot. And that's not even like the Lamborghini of feet by any means.
No.
You know, it's just a little step up, you know. No pun intended, but, you know, it was. And so that's a very difficult thing. And for me, I'm a single person. I'm a small business owner, which I am having to rebuild after the crash. You know, when you're down and can't work for a while and, you know, you're not making the money, this, that, and the other thing, you know, it takes all of your finances to get back into living.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well,
absolutely. And then, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, I was a chef, and, of course, you know, after my family medical leave was up, they cut me loose, and so, you know, I've just kind of been spinning my wheels, so it's been something else. But, you know, there's an ankle out there that I would love to have. It's $60,000, and insurance won't cover it. I mean, you know, it's like, there's a knee out there that you can walk, you know, up and down stairs foot over foot, which I can't do now.
Right.
That would be awesome, but, you know, it's out of reach.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I love the people that support me, and I'm sure you do too. But when they don't understand the behind-the-scenes stuff, it's not their fault, obviously, because it's never affected them, thank God. But when they don't understand the behind-the-scenes stuff, sometimes people aren't sure the right things to say. Or they might say something that upsets us. It's not really their fault. They don't know. And so that's kind of why I sort of started this project. You know, my family and my friends have learned from me. They've watched me. They've seen on social media, because I'm very open about my life, the good and the bad and whatever. And I think it's important for folks to understand that, and this is just amputees. I mean, there's 100 million other things wrong with human beings that I will never understand. I don't know what it's like to survive cancer and to go through chemo. You know, I don't know what it's like to lose a breast to breast cancer. You know, so there are so many things we will never understand, but from what you and I have in common and other folks that are participating in this project, for that amputee, we can help folks understand a little bit better. And it's, you know, we don't get upset at our friends or family because they don't understand. We need to show them and tell them how to better understand. That's my opinion.
Yes, I totally agree with that. You know, they don't, well, I mean, like you said, they try, but until they've walked in our shoes, no pun intended there, they, you know, you can't.
Right, right. Mm-hmm. I'm very blessed to have folks that know me well enough to know they can ask me any question. People, sometimes you get, and I don't know if you've experienced this or not, or to what degree you've experienced it, but I always tell people you get two types of children. When children see your leg, there are two. The ones that ask you 100 questions, and the ones that hide behind their parents because they're afraid. Have you experienced this?
I haven't really experienced the ones that hide. Now, I've had parents, you know, that'll tell, you know, you can see them saying, don't stare, blah, blah, blah. But most of the time I've got the kids, they come up, they want to touch it. Oh, you've got a robot leg. You know, the smaller ones are you know, great. And I know I've talked to several children, and after, answered their questions. Their parents have said, thank you so much for taking the time, to help them understand. So
Yep.
I think a lot of it's got to do with the parents. Children are just curious,
Yeah. Yeah. They're curious and they're honest. They don't know any
yeah.
better. They're straight up honest. Hey, what happened to your leg? Where'd your leg go?
Yeah.
And I always try to be a little bit funny, but yet give them a truthful answer. And if it's a child that I think could understand, I always tell them, now when you start driving your car, when you're older, you better be really, really careful, okay? Yeah, I always try to give the kids, the honest story without too much gory detail, obviously. But then I also try to tell them, this happened because somebody wasn't driving very smart. So, try to be smart when you start driving automobiles. And like you said, you do get the parents that say, thank you for taking the time. You get the parents that tell their kids don't stare or whatever. And sometimes I have experienced, I was in Leesburg at the rally, actually, and I was doing my radio show from the road, a live show. And these 3 little boys were with their dad, and they were staring at me. And I could tell they were staring at me the whole time that I was talking on the show. So when I hung up with the show, the dad came over, and, he gave me kudos for riding and doing and blah, blah, blah. And I kind of gave him the short version of my story. And he asked if him and his boys could take a picture with me. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the boys refused to take the picture. He stood back, and he ended up being the one that took the picture. He would not shake my hand. He would not talk to me, nothing. The other 2 little boys just asking question after question after question, you could see everything because I was wearing shorts, so they were like, what is this hose for, and what's that, and do you have a foot in there, and, blah, blah, blah. So I thought it was kind of cute, and the boys, got a little bit of education. And I think they'll have a greater respect for people with disabilities like that because they encountered somebody that took the time to be silly with them.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you have a grown child. Do you have any grandchildren?
Nope, not yet. My daughter's
not yet
married in April. So
it's funny because talking about children, when I was back in Illinois for Christmas, my granddaughter, she's being so funny. She'll be 3 soon. But we were sitting at the table, and she's just being silly. She stole my hat off my head, and she's asking me goofy questions. And the way I was sitting in the chair, I kind of had like these little rolls over the top of my blue jeans. And she said, Grandma, you're fat. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I sat up straight, and the rolls went away. And then she's like, and we were pointing to body parts and naming body parts, And so she was doing it back to me with the belly and the foot and the this and the that. And so she went to look at my foot, and she goes, Grandma, where's your foot? I mean, she's 3. She's seen me since it happened, but, it doesn't stick with them, And she's like, Grandma, where's your foot? And I'm like, oh, no, am I missing a foot? Oh, no. And I looked down, I'm like, I don't know where it went. I'm just teasing with her. Because, she's not old enough to quite tell the story to, she wouldn't quite grasp the whole deal yet. But I think if you just, be there young people or be there older people, whatever, I think if we just take a little time and ask questions of people to understand them in a respectful manner, and likewise for people like us to answer those questions in a respectful manner. People want to empathize. They want to understand. Sometimes they're scared to ask for fear of how that might make the other person feel, the person with the disability. So I think it's cool that people do ask questions, and I'm more than willing to share, and it kind of sounds like you are too. Again, that's kind of what this project is all about. Now, let me ask you this. What rallies are you going to? Any cool events or rallies this year?
We'll be actually headed to Boone in May, and then we did Daytona last fall, and I think we're going to go. We were planning on going this spring, but I just think the crowds, the fall was crowded enough. So I think we're going to wait and go back in the fall, and then, of course, we'll do the Myrtle Beach rally in the spring. And
yeah, I'm contemplating Myrtle Beach myself. That'd be kind of cool if we could, cross paths somewhere. That'd be neat. I'm not so certain that I can make Daytona. Just coming back from the whole leg thing and having to pay for all of that. I just don't know that it's in the budget. Plus, I have to go back for my granddaughter's 3rd birthday into February. So, priorities being what they are, I might not make Daytona. But I am certainly hoping for Myrtle Beach. I've only done that one once. I did that one once, and that was last year. I did not have a bike then. I did have the prosthetic, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But, it was weird to me. I was there for 10 days, and I was helping a client/sponsor of mine at his booth. And I felt so out of place. I felt like such a poser. Like here I am in this whole biker community pretending to be a biker, and I'm not on a bike. Boo-hoo me, I know. It was just a little tiny bit of a pity party there for a minute, but it was very uplifting. People that ended up coming to visit me and seeing me at the booth, people I ran into at some of the different bar venues. So people snapped me out of that real quick. So. Yeah, it was helpful. And without the people like that out there, I don't know that I'd be where I am today, because it is a little bit scary to have to get back on that thing. It's something we absolutely love, but it's downright scary. Heck, it's scary when you've never crashed, for goodness sake.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you got to respect it.
Yep,
I mean,
absolutely.
You can't when you lose your respect, that's when I think people do stupid things and end up hurting themselves sometimes.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And I appreciate it when the bikers that have made their own mistakes and have hurt themselves, I appreciate it when they're honest about it and try to tell other people their message. I've got some amputees that I've interviewed that it was their own fault that they lost limbs. They know it. They admit it, and they move on. They become smarter for it. But the truth is, it doesn't matter what you drive, bike, car, semi-truck, bicycle, it doesn't matter. You can screw up, somebody else can screw up. You just never know.
No,
I mean, we are humans. Yeah. Well, before we take off, I just wanted to ask you, and I'm trying to ask everybody this because everybody has a unique story of triumph and certain things that have gotten them through. But from the perspective of being an amputee and having a certain particular type of disability, what message, if you could tell the world something about how to treat people or how it is to live the life you live or whatever, what is a message that you try to get across to folks since this has happened to you?
Well, I guess from the get-go, it was a decision that you've got to make. You're either going to keep living or you're going to sit there and have a pity party and watch the world go by. And, I just don't have the personality to sit there and stare out the window. So I chose to get on with it, and, I do what I can do, and if it's not enough, then I hate it for them,
Right. Yep, absolutely. I like that. And, almost everybody that I ask that question of, and, of course, we are survivors, and we are living our life to the best that we can with what's been dealt to us, almost everybody has, in their own words, the similar type of message. Don't pity me. Don't feel sorry for me. I am going to do the best I can, however I can. It's always different than it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
But we will figure a way out.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Vickie, I'm tickled that you live sort of kind of close to me. I mean, you're a few hours away, but, for bikers, 2, 3, 4 hours isn't really a big deal for motorcyclists. So who knows, maybe just in our state here that we're living in, maybe we can run across each other. I think that'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a blast. I enjoyed talking with you.
You too, sweetie, and I look forward to following you more on Facebook and learning a little bit more about you. And like I said, maybe we'll find ourselves in some of the same locations, that'd be really cool. I do enjoy meeting new people and talking to new people, and I like to ride, and I don't care what you ride. If you're a nice person to me, I'll ride with you. I don't care what color you are, what religion you are. I don't care what you're driving. If you're nice to me, I'm nice to you.
That's it.
That's very simple. And if you're not nice to me, I'm just going to pick up my motorcycle and go somewhere else. I'm not going to be a jerk. You know?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I think too many people spend too much time, being disagreeable. Just move on. Don't disagree with that Yahoo if they're not worth your time. Just, go somewhere else where somebody is worth your time.
I think we have a unique perspective. We almost died, so it's kind of dumb, to sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's too much life to live to sit here and, piss and moan about somebody that doesn't like me or somebody, that guy's riding a Honda. I don't want to ride with him. What's that?
That's it.
I don't get it. Yeah. Well, Vickie, thank you for making me smile, and thank you so much for taking part of this project. I do really appreciate your time, and I do look forward to seeing you and meeting you and riding with you wherever it may be. I'm sure we'll find each other.
Oh, that'll be great. Yeah, if you head to Myrtle Beach, just let me know. I'll be down there.
Absolutely. Or if I get bored and want beach time, I'm going east.
Hey, come on. I got a spare bedroom. I live on the lake.
Awesome. Very cool. Me too, but right now it's frozen.
Well, yeah.
Well, Vickie, thank you so very much. And you know what? Just from my perspective, tell your dude that I said thank you, because that is quite an accomplishment and a challenge for somebody to maintain that respect and love after what you've gone through and a little bit of what he went through also. So please, just extend my courtesy to him, if you would, please. Thank you.
I will. Thank you.
You take care, and I'll be seeing you on Facebook. We play in some of the same sandboxes on Facebook with our motorcycle pages and groups and things like this. So I will be chatting with you again very soon. I'm certain of it.
Okay, great. All right.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank
evening.
You, Vickie. You too, dear. Bye-bye for now.
All right, bye-bye.
Before ending this particular episode of the Amped Rider Project, I just want to give another thank you to my family, my friends, social media followers, the folks that have participated in this particular project, and to any of you out there that might just happen upon this series online. Without the support and encouragement of said people, there's no way I'd be where I am today. These people have lifted me up, encouraged me, told me that I could accomplish whatever I wanted. And I did. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, all of you. God bless. I want to wish everybody out there peace, hugs, and whatever makes your soul rumble.
For all things Broad, visit hdbroad.com. Road Lines and the Broad are sponsored by ridersclaw.com, nailmail.com, and coolridergear.com. And remember, the Broad, B.R.O.A.D, Riding Out a Dream, and Peace and Hugs and Pipes That Rumble are trademarked and not available for use or copy.